Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. How you doing? How you been? Just watching a YouTube video in the background, but I put it on mute so I won't get any like copyright claims. Um, so how have you guys been? How was your Easter weekend? Mine was, it was fine. Nothing special. But I'm gonna come on here and just kind of like give you guys a personal reason why I started or why I got into or how I got into being alternative. With most alternative subcultures, yes, they do start off with the music, but I think we need to talk about the fashion as well, because the fashion is a part of that. I feel like some people need to talk about that a little bit more. Growing up as a young girl, a young black young girl, I was constantly like made fun of and bullied because of my eyesight. I don't know if you guys could tell in my videos, but I have a bit of a eyesight condition. I don't like the word disability. I just say I have like an eyesight condition. I am partially blind in my left eye. I don't know if you guys can tell right now, but yeah, my eye goes this way. And I don't know if you paid any close attention to that in any of my videos, but that's part of the reason why my eyes look the way they look. I was born early or prematurely. I do believe that's what caused my eyesight to be the way it is now. I can't see small letters or from a faraway distance. I have to have everything like in large print. So for most of my life, and even now in my adult life, I've been, made fun of in some ways. Especially when I was a teenager. I was really insecure about it as a teenager. I still am now, but, not that much. So when I was a kid in the early 2000s, I discovered different things. And one of those things was the alternative music and fashion scene with bands like The Cure, Nirvana, Green Day. Of course, you have other bands like L7, The Runaways, Soundgarden, Sleeping with Sirens, My Chemical Romance. And then you have Slipknot and Metallica and Motorhead and all that. I also discovered people like Jimi Hendrix and Prince and Little Richard, Bo Diddley, a bunch of early pioneers in rock music. Yeah, that's right, black people created that shit too. Don't disregard us. Anyway, and if you don't believe me, it's in the history. Look it up, do your research. But in my experience, being interested in these things, I didn't really talk about it with a lot of people because, some people are closed-minded into that stuff because most people think rock music, or if you dress a certain way, they think, oh, you're depressed, or you're just doing that for attention, or you're like a devil worshiper or Satan, satanic panic shit, even though we're no longer in the 80s or 90s. But I discovered all this stuff because it was different, like me. I know that I was different from a young age. I knew that. And as I got older, I just didn't give a shit. I just didn't care. Like, yeah, I knew that this was gonna get me made fun of and bullied, but I didn't really care. Because I'm not gonna let people, talk down to me or treat me like I'm an idiot, like I can't do anything, like I'm inadequate or something. So, when I was in high school, I discovered the DIY, like, clothing scene, where people would cut and make their own clothes. Now, if you know anything about the goth or punk scene, they would make their own clothes, or they would shop at thrift stores or secondhand and buy them at very cheap prices, or people would give them stuff, kind of like a hand-me-down. I started cutting and making my own clothes when I was in high school. I've been doing it for years. Also, it doesn't matter what your age is. You can still dress and be alternative at any age. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, I got into the fashion when I was in high school. I would look up certain, like, patterns and prints that they wore, and I would start wearing stuff like that and go from there. I started experimenting with different jewelry, silver and gold. As you can see, I prefer silver. Pearls, or black colored jewelry. That's what I mostly wear. And that's when I discovered different types of style of clothing and in the alternative scene, and I'm like, this is who I am. This is what I like. I also like some of the values that it represents. It's pretty much about representation for people that are different like me, people that are, like gender equality, LGBTQ, racial equality, and disability equality, animal rights, stuff like that. That's what it stood for to me. And growing up as a kid, like me, if you are LGBTQ and you are alternative and you're a person of color or you have a disability, to me, that's pretty much what it should be about. It should be about all of the things that you should stand for and the things you should be against. Because punk, we all know what punk is. Punk is anti-everything wrong with the world. Anti-establishment, anti-government, And goth was more, we're not going to fit into your standards of what you think beauty should be or how we should dress. And to me, that resonated with me because it was different. It represented the things that I also thought was pretty interesting. It was anti-everything wrong with the world when it should be about representing things people should care about. And so, as I got into my adult years, in my early 20s, I started really getting into the fashion. Started making my own clothes, making my own jewelry. I would switch my makeup every once in a while to figure out my personal style. Y'all, at some point in my life, at some point in time, I was even dressing like the Y2K style. I did that for a little bit. I even did the makeup too. That was not my style. I was, still experimenting with my style, but now I'm comfortable with the way my style is now. I still can't believe I did that shit though. That was not me. Yeah, so it was just really cool for me. And I eventually started to, realize that this is who I am and this is what I love, and I'm not going to change who I am for anybody. You can be alternative. It doesn't matter what your racial background is. You know? I also discovered a lot of gatekeeping bullshit that goes on with the alternative scene. That's unfortunate. And I understand there was a lot of discrimination going on when it first started, but you don't have to bully or gatekeep people into thinking that this is not how it once was. Well, of course it's not, because we're not in the 70s or 80s anymore. Times are going to change, whether you like it or not. Like, you need to just grow up and get over it. You're too busy living in the past. You have to mow the grass right now while I'm making a video. Sorry about that. That's one of my neighbors. They're mowing the grass. But yeah. To me, in the end, it is how it is. It's self-expression. It's breaking boundaries. Not fitting the mold of how you should dress in society, whether you're a man or a woman, and not giving a fuck about what people think or say about you. To me, that's what it should be about. Self-expression, being your own individual and not caring about what people think or say about you. Making a statement, pissing off the niche normie people. Like, I've had people look at me a certain way when I am dressed in like a punk or like a pastel goth kind of outfit, or if I'm dressing in any form of alternative fashion, they'll fucking look at me sometimes and they'll wonder, why is she dressed like that? Or why the fuck is she wearing black lipstick? I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Cause guys, guess what? I don't really care. I'm not gonna be living in this closed-minded ass boring town for much longer anyway. The people here, they are closed-minded. Some of them, not all of them. But yeah, I've had people look at me a certain way. And I've had people look at me a certain way. And I've had people look at me like, what the fuck is she wearing? Like, why is she wearing black lipstick? Like, that's how people would look at me. Also, people, that doesn't bother me. People staring at me a certain way, because they would never say anything, but they would always just fucking stare at me and shit. Like, you know how some people tell you, oh, it's rude if you stare. It's gonna be rude regardless. Like, what the fuck? I don't know if anybody else experiences that, getting stared at and shit, like getting looked at a certain way. But like I said, I don't care. I don't care what the fuck they think. This is me. This is who I am. And I'm happy. And if it makes you happy, then that's fine. Who the fuck cares? If it makes you happy, it's fine. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And to the people that are getting started in it now, do not care about what the closed-minded gatekeeper assholes think, because they're the ones that are too busy living in the past. They're the ones that are ruining the subculture for the rest of us. And I've seen some like goth people here. I've seen at least like 2 or 3 people that are goth here, but that was it. I don't really see a lot of people that are goth or LGBTQ here where I live. But like I said, I won't be here for much longer because I'm fucking moving. Hooray! I don't know I said that before, but I'm moving. I am fucking leaving, y'all. In like the next month or 2, I'm fucking out of this damn place. I'm sick of this fucking boring ass closed-minded town. But yeah, at the end of the day, self-expression is happiness. To me, it brings me some form of happiness. And if you are alternative out there, whether you are younger or older than me, I'm happy for you. I'm proud. You know, I'm happy. And I know it's hard, but you gotta just be yourself and not worry about what people think. Be proud, stand tall, because being alternative, it's in your heart. It's in your heart. It's not up here. It's in your heart. Being goth or punk or whatever, it's in here, not up here. It's in here. You gotta have heart. And I think a lot of people should talk about that more. Whether you are my age or younger or a lot older than me, I'm happy that you're still around. Yeah.
I can't go to the laundromat in the morning, y'all. I gotta go to the hospital with Donnie and the kid.
But that is pretty much why or how I got into it, because it was different, like me, in a lot of different ways. And the fact that people are that there are some people gatekeeping it, it really does piss me off, and it's disappointing. Like, I get it. You've been discriminated against in your life because of it, but at the end of the day, we're not in the 70s and 80s and 90s anymore. It's considered cool now, but back then it wasn't, and that's just sad. If people were open-minded back then and asking questions out of curiosity rather than calling them a freak and a weirdo, maybe we wouldn't have gatekeeping. Who knows? But be happy with who you are. And I'll see you in the next video.